Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome. That, as they say, is that. Marvel Comics. Let's go ahead and get started. How's it going, all you Minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at all of these trades coming out from Marvel Comics this week. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday, so you know it's time to take an advanced look at collected editions coming out from Marvel Comics this week. Now, of course, these aren't the only ones. We've got some Omnis that are coming out as well. But these are the trade paperbacks or epic collections or Mighty Marvel Masterworks that are coming out the week of December 5th or 6th, depending on where you get your books. And a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. So we have a new miniseries I didn't even know about. I thought it was just a reprint of a classics or one of the early miniseries. And then a new epic collection with Star Wars The New Republic, the crossover with Ghost Rider and Wolverine written by Benjamin Percy, and then the latest in the Mighty Marvel Masterworks line. So, as always, I leave timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're curious about one or two books. But before going any further, don't forget to smash that like button, please. That goes a long way for us here on the channel, and it's a very small thing you can do for us. Alright, let's go ahead and start with Mighty Marvel Masterworks. I'd say we kick it off with that Silver Surfer Mighty Marvel Masterworks, but I figured since we only have 4 books this week, let's go ahead and start it off with the spines. So here are all the spines of the books coming out this week. Alright, let's keep going. Or let's get started, rather, with Silver Surfer. So here we have a brand new line of Mighty Marvel Masterworks, and that is Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer. And we have on the right-hand side the standard edition cover, on the left-hand side the direct market cover. The spines, of course, are different, and then the backs of the books are different, because the direct markets are always the limited edition. So this is a volume 29 of a special limited printing edition. Everything else on the inside is the same. So we have the story of Norrin Radd collected in here, the origin. This one is really interesting because we've seen with Black Panther that they start with like stories that involve Black Panther in the pages of the Fantastic Four. With the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, they start with the ongoing series by Stan Lee and Big John Buscema. So it collects Silver Surfer 1 through 4, as well as Fantastic Four Annual Number 5, and then Not Brand X 13. And that's really interesting because with Black Panther, and also, what was the Namor stories, they collected a lot of the appearances from those characters in other comics. But with Silver Surfer, instead of collecting his first appearance in the Fantastic Four or the Coming of Galactus, they just went straight into the ongoing story, which shows his origin, which is quite excellent. If you've never read it, this is some amazing storytelling. To a lot of people, this is probably the best Stan Lee work that he put out there, and to a lot of people, this is the best Silver Surfer story. And the first issue does introduce you to the origin of Norrin Radd and how he eventually became the Herald of Galactus, and everything that he sacrificed for it. You get to see a lot of supporting cast members, and all of it drawn by the legendary Big John Buscema. You get the appearance here of Mephisto, and in the annual, that one is drawn by Jack Kirby, if I'm not mistaken. There's the story with Loki, and then when we get to the annual, yes, right here, this one is drawn by Jack Kirby, and it's the story of Quasimodo. And then, of course, Not Brand X is the silly book that they had parodying the main storyline. We have some original artwork here to cover, and this piece right here, layout and backgrounds, John Buscema and Joe Sinnott. And this is the house ad for the big ongoing series. The book retails for $15.99, and both of these have 192 pages. I cannot wait for my daughters to read this. I'm editing the Namor one as we speak, so that will come out sometime this week. Next up is the continuing story of Cindy Moon, and she is, of course, known as Silk. This is the miniseries from 2023, all 5 issues collected in here. And this one is all written by Emily Kim. Ig Guara is the artist. And then Ian Herring is your color artist. Ariana Mayer is your letterer. So in this 5-issue miniseries, it starts off a little bit confusing because you see that Cindy Moon is a little bit different. You have a Peach Momoko variant cover here. She's a little bit different because she is a crime noir ace detective here. So immediately you recognize that, wait a second, this isn't the right year. What is going on? And she's trying to solve a case. Now, she also knows that she is Silk, so she is aware of that, but also a detective. And everything feels right until the end. Something feels a little bit wrong in the first issue. So she ends up in the second issue as a part of a train heist. So again, not in her normal 616 universe. What exactly is happening through here? And who's involved? And like I said, she is aware of having powers and known as Silk. So each issue feels a little bit different. Let me show you the third issue. So in the third issue, she is a pirate. And the fourth issue has a little bit of horror elements leading into the fifth issue, which is, of course, the zombie issue. Now, does this have anything to do with Saya? Who's going to be able to help her get out of this? Is this a dream? Is this an alternate reality? Is it the future? Where is she? Where is she? Is she quantum leaping? Is she stuck through time? Well, one way to find out, right? I will say that it was nice to see a special guest star show up here. All the way in the back, we have our variant covers. And I was talking about with this book right here, whenever I was going through the upcoming collected editions for the month of December, that they do have enough material for a Silk omnibus now, including all this new modern stuff. Then again, she is a modern character. 112 pages, and the book retails for $15.99. Well, it was bound to happen one day, but here we are. Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Weapons of Vengeance. Well, it was bound to happen because Benjamin Percy is both writing Wolverine and Ghost Rider. So this takes place during the new era of Ghost Rider, and that is Johnny Blaze, and of course the Krakoa era of Wolverine. Now, if you haven't read either series, I mean, will you be lost? Like, if you're just reading Wolverine and you haven't read Ghost Rider, would you be lost? Not really, because a lot of this is explained through a series of flashbacks. As a matter of fact, just minor spoilers going in before I open the book up, just in case you're not caught up with this. And what I was going to say is that there is a little bit of a retcon through here, because we start off with this flashback with the actual first meeting of Wolverine and Johnny Blaze. So we see Wolverine show up to Johnny Blaze, and he's like, hey, bub, it's happening again. We gotta do what we gotta do. And then we go to a flashback where we're introduced to this lady right here who is taking this kid from an orphanage named Bram to the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. And here Bram gets to meet some of the students like Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and Colossus. But Professor Xavier senses that there's something off with this child, that there's something else in there that isn't mutant related. So he unfortunately turns away the kid, and this kid kind of gives Wolverine the creeps. Again, this is a flashback to something that really didn't happen, so it's a retcon. Meanwhile, we see Johnny Blaze with his lady Maxine here, or Roxanne, sorry, not Maxine. And he gets into a little bit of an accident because he sees these images of a demon, perhaps. Who could it be? Mephisto. Is it related to this kid? I will say, I'm always surprised where this story goes. There is parental advisory here, because there's some creepy imagery, like some body horror in here, if you will. And it ends up happening to kids, so a little bit of a trigger warning there. But this demon, whatever it is, if it's a child, or if it's a possession, or if it's something like Johnny Blaze, is coming back. So we have the flashback of Wolverine meeting Johnny Blaze for the first time, who becomes Ghost Rider. And then we have the modern story of them going after this kid named Bram, or maybe this demon. And the introduction of something ridiculous that I can't believe hasn't happened before, known as Helverine. Yes, Helverine. That's right. I mean, we've had symbiote Wolverines, right? Phoenix Wolverines. Why not a demon-possessed Wolverine? Helverine. And this is all drawn, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, by Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw from God Country. He also drew Thanos and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's no stranger to superheroes. And we do have a couple of supporting cast members from the pages of Wolverine and the pages of Ghost Rider that show up through here as well. So collecting the Weapons of Vengeance Alpha, Ghost Rider 17, Wolverine number 36, and Ghost Rider Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance Omega. And variant covers can sometimes be found on the opposite side of standard edition covers. Like this is the Omega cover, and then this right here is the variant cover. And in the back, we still have more variant covers, so they're not all in between issues. George Perez legacy covers there, a text cover, Lionel Francis Yu, another George Perez, Tyler Kirkman, black and white covers, Scott Williams, and Ryan Stegman. And then sketches right here of the cover that Stegman did. This book retails for $17.99, and it has 120 pages. Last but certainly not least is Star Wars The New Republic. This is part of the Legends, so the Dark Horse era of Star Wars. This is volume 7. And this one is really interesting because I actually was a little lost in a couple of things that happened through here because it ties heavily to the era of the EU, the expanded universe of Star Wars, so in the books, right? Like during the First Order. And I hadn't read those books. But honestly, with Dark Empire and books like that, I didn't have a problem following the comic. With this one, I feel like I was missing something, particularly through one story arc in here. But oh my gosh, is this not amazing? First of all, we have Cam Kennedy back doing the Boba Fett stories. This is Bounty on Barkuda. So actually, let's talk about what's collected in here. Collected in here is Star Wars Boba Fett, Bounty on Barkuda, When the Fat Lady Swings, Murder Most Foul, Agent of Doom, Star Wars Jedi Academy, Leviathan 1-4, that's the Jedi Academy story, the Star Wars Mixed Up Droids, the Union 1-4 story, Chewbacca 1-4, and the material from Star Wars Tales number 19. But Cam Kennedy returns, and John Wagner writing this trilogy of Boba Fett stories. And oh my gosh, just there's something special about Cam Kennedy's artwork. Like, he always stands out, and I absolutely love it. So we have Boba Fett coming back from the dead and trying to make a name for himself again, you know, making people respect the name Boba Fett. And that's what this trilogy does. And it's a really interesting trilogy because they're one-shots, but they're one-connecting stories. We have Gorga, who hires Boba Fett to go after the Barkuda, who's been oppressing his love's father. So he's trying to win this lady's, well, I mean, she's a Hutt, but still a lady, her heart. And in order to win her heart, he has to get her father's approval. And father does not want anybody to take his baby girl. So that's what the first storyline is about. Boba Fett is hired by Gorga, the Hutt, to go and woo Anakro by going and killing or nabbing his arch nemesis, the Barkuda. It was this big character. And where that story goes and where it ends, it's a little dark. The second story, When the Fat Lady Swings, is about the brother of Barkuda coming in and going after Boba Fett, so causing havoc. Found out that his brother Barkuda, something happened to him in the first story, so now he's coming for revenge. And then the third story that connects all this together is the Murder Most Foul. And this is when Anakro's father just refuses to let it slide that his baby girl got kidnapped. So he doesn't want her with Gorga the Hutt. So when Gorga finds out about this, he hires Boba Fett to go after his father-in-law. And there's a couple of twists and turns in this one that I didn't see coming. John Wagner's the writer of this particular story. It's a good story. Now, Cam Kennedy does come back for the Boba Fett Agent of Doom. However, the colorist is Chris Blythe this time, and you can definitely tell the difference between Cam Kennedy's colors there and these colors here. This is another story where he's just trying to make a name for himself, and it's pretty much these people have been killed, or this race has been getting tortured and killed off by a couple of Imperials, and he's going after them for like a fraction of the price that he was offered. He just wants his name spread out there to let everybody know. But that gets a little bit confused, because if you read Dark Empire, then Han didn't know about Boba Fett, so then why does he want his name? Anyway, it's just a little bit confusing, being that I haven't read the books, right? And that could have been explained through the books. Then we get to the Jedi. This is the one that I was a little confused on. And this is the Jedi Academy Leviathan. And I was really excited to read this, because the premise of this is 9 years after the death of the Emperor in Episode 6. Luke Skywalker started an academy, and he's getting new Jedi. So you see Kip Doro, Kirana T, and Streen, and Tion. There's another character in here that joins them too. And he's the one that kind of confused me, because I assume that these characters came from the book series. And one of the characters in that book series is Dorsk 81, because this is Dorsk 82, his clone, who also has Jedi powers. So they talk a little bit about that. And again, I think you were supposed to be familiar with these characters. This is kind of like their first mission, where Luke Skywalker sends them off to go after this Leviathan, who's this, it's like a Sith legendary creature, almost like a dinosaur. And they are on their own. Like, there is no help from professional Jedis through here. So it was a cool story. I just wish I had known a little bit of background before I read it. There's the droids, goofy story, and then the Tales of the Jedi. Yeah, there's the Tales of the Jedi, and then we begin the 4-issue miniseries of Star Wars Union. And in this miniseries is about how Luke Skywalker and his lady, so this is Mara Jade, if you're not familiar with her, she had appeared previously in the comics and in the books, but this is how they're going to be married, and all it is a bachelor party, and then of course the Empire coming in and trying to ruin things, because even though they are at peace, we can't have a marriage between Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker. So there is a Moth that comes in, and because I mean, Mara Jade was once the greatest assassin in the Empire. Now, the other story is Chewbacca. Now, if you don't want to know anything about Chewbacca, because there's a big spoiler in this, in the New Jedi Order, there's a book called Vector Prime. If you haven't read Vector Prime, stay away from the spoilers. But before you leave, this book gets the stamp of approval, the seal of approval for this week. And that mainly has to do with Cam Kennedy's artwork. I love his stuff. But the Chewbacca story. Alright, for anybody who doesn't care about spoilers or the extended universe or hasn't read Vector Prime and you're just here because you want to know about Chewbacca, alright. Something big happens in Vector Prime. Apparently, Chewbacca died in a heroic way. So the 4-issue series, Star Wars Chewbacca, is nothing but a memoriam. It's R2-D2 and C-3PO. I guess this takes place before the funeral, going around and asking people to share memories of Chewbacca. And the first one that kicks off is so touching, right? It's people, or the the Wookiees from the Star Wars Christmas special. And Chewbacca's dad, too, who gives a really powerful, beautiful speech, talking about his son and how much he loved his son. And surprised that he died, that he ended up getting killed. Like, how can somebody so big, how can a Wookiee so strong get killed off like that? So it's a really powerful issue. There's a beautiful speech there. And the other one that actually moved me, and like I said, this is why I didn't want people to look at this in case you didn't want any kind of spoilers. It's in the 4th issue. And in the 4th issue, you get the story of Han and an empty galaxy. And it starts off with Han Solo, and, he's fixing the Millennium Falcon, and he's like, give me the vacuum pump, the smaller one. Hey, where's that pump, Chewie? And then realizing that Chewie is dead. He finds a picture that his kids drew of Chewbacca because he saved, their lives. And oh my gosh, he feels just destroyed that his best friend is gone. And he never got a chance to say, I love you. Like, his kids told Chewbacca that they loved him. But he never told him that. And then we just see a picture of him breaking down, you know, as he's going off on another mission. This one here is really interesting. I know I just talked about a deep story, and it's powerful and moving. I love that. I love the way that was handled. There's goofy stories in there, like Wedge's story about Chewbacca is really goofy. So some will make you laugh, but that one really, really hit. This is from the Star Wars Tales, and there's a particular, well, let's just say doctor that shows up through here that I was not expecting to show up in that one, even though it's like an alternate reality. We have extras in the back, like the introductions by John Wagner, and then the 30th anniversary introduction by Michael Stackpole. Then the back here, Star Wars Legends Volume 4. The book has 488 pages and retails for $44.99. And that, as they say, is that. Now, if you're interested in any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you are picking up, which ones you're hoping will come out in an omnibus format. Well, these already have. Or a Marvel Masterworks format, or an Epic Collection. Actually, yeah, these aren't in Epic Collection yet. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. And what other mighty Marvel Masterworks you would love to see get collected? I see a lot of Iron Man being suggested. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.